This week, the channel's asked, how have you been affected by the housing shortage in Santa Barbara?
Oh God, that's a big question.
Good question. I haven't.
The fact that I signed my lease a week before I moved, so I didn't know where I was gonna live like a week before I moved here, which was honestly pretty stressful.
I'm from the Bay, so I obviously have to go out and look for rent, but obviously everything's really expensive, but we have a huge housing crisis in the Bay, so it's kind of the same.
Well, I got my lease for next year like a month ago or something, so I kind of jumped the ship. But I don't know. I'm doing good. I didn't even know there was a housing shortage.
Yeah, I didn't get affected this year, but next year I've been looking. It's kind of not much, but it's kind of short. I don't know. We'll see. We'll try to find some. I didn't know there's a shortage.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a shortage.
As an international exchange student, we can do it through organizations, and they already have houses. For example, Choral Group, they're have a collaboration with the college. So for international exchange students, I think it is pretty easy to get housing. I didn't have that big problems at all, but I've heard other students have.
Yeah, leasing companies are the worst, I'd say, and the management companies don't really care about anyone. So, yeah.
I've actually been really lucky because I got into my place about 8 years ago, and it's still run by sort of a mom and pop, but they're old. They're in their 70s, so I'm really afraid if they happen to sell or they pass away, what will happen, because my rent's really under market, so I'm fortunate to be one of the few people who work and also live in Santa Barbara.
My partner and I had to move from Santa Barbara to Corponeria because when we were looking into expanding the space we needed because we were having a baby, we couldn't really find anything in our price range in Santa Barbara. So now I get to commute.
Either the rent is very, very expensive and not affordable, or they just have trouble finding housing in general that's fitting for them, or in dorms that they just get rejected and have to look for another dorm, or have to go to a lot of interviews to actually get a dorm.
Honestly, I haven't really. I got really lucky early in the year, but I will say when I was looking for a place earlier this year, it was really hard because we looked at a bunch of places. It was either too much or not the right fit. We finally found a place. It's a residential house on the east side in Santa Barbara, and now I'm pretty set with where I live. Honestly, I'm really happy with it. But to start, it was definitely really hard, and it was really stressful to find a place. I think it took till the end of summer too, so we really didn't even know what was gonna happen. But yeah, it ended up working out.
I have luckily been able to find housing. It was definitely the options were, not super great when I was looking. There were a bunch of places where it'd be pretty expensive and I'd still have to split it with multiple people. I kind of got lucky and found a listing on the SBCC website that and I had a roommate from last year who we both decided to move in together, so it helped make things easier, but it was definitely a lot of logistics where I had to, find someone to help pay for it and, really go and look around.
Yeah, so thankfully, I haven't been too affected, but my rent keeps going up every year. That's really hard, and just there's the lack of choices. I came home from a weekend trip, and my shower was filled with black water because a lot of the apartments and stuff are just old, and so I feel you don't have a lot of choices, and then you have to pay a lot, and what you get for your money just isn't really you don't really get what you pay for.
Rent is not that bad. Last year I was dorming and it was $2,000 and then a month for a double, and then now it's $1,000 for a double in my own bathroom.
If you have rich parents, I think you won't have a problem, like very rich parents.
When there's housing shortages, and Santa Barbara is a very particular place because it can't really grow. You know, you have Goleta, you have the ocean, you have a mountain. Housing prices just go way up. And you need multiple incomes in a household to be able to, one, afford rent, two, even consider buying.
I also wasn't sure. Also, I feel like a big problem is the plethora of scams. I feel like every 1 in 3 people I contacted over housing was a scam. I saw that they were posting the exact same listing for a school in Missouri. But yeah.
So I have a therapist and that I've been seeing for several years, and I went to my therapist's office and I saw one of the offices open and it looked like there was a bed there, and I was like, is that going to be an Airbnb? Because it had a key code on the door. And so I asked her, and she said, yeah, this is a commercial building, but they decided they're going to convert all the offices into Airbnbs.
One of the places I looked at was literally a kitchen with 2 beds put in it, basically, out on the side of a house, and she was trying to have 2 people live in it. So it's pretty crazy options that are out there.